Viewers, before anything else, drop your city and your local time in the comments. Because trust me, this story is going to hit different depending on whether you're watching at dawn or at midnight. Picture this: a man who spent 25 years in the army, planning operations across hostile territories, hauling convoys of gear worth more than some small nations, and tracking every detail of supply routes like lives depended on it, because they did. He finally retires, and what does he want? Nothing complicated, just a lawn to mow, a grill to master, and a simple black mailbox where his bills and birthday cards can arrive without drama. What he gets instead is Brenda, the self-appointed queen of a manicured little kingdom called the Estates at Oak Creek, a woman who thinks holding the HOA clipboard makes her a cross between Caesar and Judge Judy. It starts small, as these things always do. He finds a slip of paper tucked under his windshield wiper, accusing his brand-new, USPS-approved fortress of a mailbox of being non-compliant. Not ugly, not broken, just out of sync with Brenda's mysterious sense of aesthetic standards. The thing is, those standards don't exist anywhere but her head. Historians still argue whether Cleopatra's perfume formula was truly lost or merely hoarded in secret. And here was Brenda playing Cleopatra with mailbox rules. Rules no one else could see, smell, or touch. Most folks would crumble at the first threat of fines, but not him. He writes a letter so detailed it could pass as a dissertation, quoting the HOA's bylaws, cross-referencing them with official USPS guidelines, even including the manufacturer's compliance sheet. He mails it certified, because that's what a man who thinks in logistics does. He builds a paper trail thicker than Texas brisket. His hope is simple: reason with her, show the evidence, and get back to tending roses. Brenda's response: she slaps an orange sticker on the mailbox like she's branding cattle. Final warning: fines accruing daily. No signature, no letterhead, just a loud threat stuck like a scarlet letter for every neighbor to see. When he tries to speak to her calmly, she cuts him off with a smirk and says, "Rules are rules. My decision is final." She even tosses in the word lean, like it's her secret nuke. The arrogance is breathtaking. So now, what began as a dispute over curb appeal feels like the opening salvo in a siege. He updates his mental battle plan. Brenda is not rational. She's ego-driven, operating under the illusion that the HOA bylaws outrank federal law. That's like claiming the local bowling league outranks the Pentagon. He knows he has to wait for her to overextend her authority, because every tyrant does. And the moment comes faster than anyone expects. One Tuesday, he finds his mail scattered in the wet grass, a letter from the Department of Veterans Affairs torn and smeared with dirt. At first he thinks it's random vandalism, until he notices a sticky note in Brenda's handwriting. Maybe if you had a proper mailbox, this wouldn't happen. That's not just petty, that's a federal crime. Interfering with U.S. mail can earn you up to 5 years behind bars. She thinks she's flexing HOA muscle. In reality, she's just handed him the artillery shell he's been waiting for. He feels the frustration drain away, replaced by cold clarity. This is no longer about HOA politics. It's about federal statutes. He photographs everything, bags the damaged letters like evidence, and begins building a dossier. The mission shifts from defend the mailbox to document the crime. It's the kind of shift that military men live for, when the battlefield suddenly tilts in your favor. And though Brenda struts around with her clipboard like it's Excalibur, she has no idea that her opponent just turned into the patient hunter, waiting with the law itself loaded in the chamber. He wakes the next morning not as a retiree, but as a man on active duty again. Except this time the battlefield isn't some desert halfway around the world. It's his quiet suburban street, and the target is one woman with a clipboard. He heads to a specialty electronics store, the kind that sells high-end gadgets to bird watchers and amateur spies, and picks out a camera disguised as a birdhouse. It streams 4K video straight to his phone and an encrypted cloud server. He mounts it on a young oak with the same precision he once used to position supply depots, hides the cable under mulch, and by the end of the day the whole operation looks like just another suburban lawn ornament. If Brenda is the self-crowned queen, then he just turned himself into her invisible court historian. From that day forward, he starts what the Army calls pattern of life analysis. He logs Brenda's every movement, when she leaves, when she returns, when she patrols with that eternal clipboard. He notes the mail carrier's schedule and times it against her wanderings. 3 days in, a pattern emerges clearer than crop circles. She always lingers near his mailbox, pretending to admire hydrangeas, but really sneaking glances at the box she hates more than kale smoothies. Each clip is cataloged, backed up in 3 places, labeled by time and date. He's building a case file so bulletproof it could survive a meteor strike. Historians still argue whether the Trojan horse was real or allegory. But here in suburbia, Brenda is proving that arrogance has always been the soft spot every empire ignores until it's too late. But surveillance alone isn't enough. To nail her, he needs unambiguous proof of tampering. So he sets bait. First, a book on heritage gardening, knowing Brenda fancies herself the Rose Queen. Next, a solar garden light, just intriguing enough in its cardboard box. And finally, a shiny set of brushed nickel house numbers, a direct middle finger to her obsession with aesthetics. To crown it all, he mails himself a fake prize letter with a wafer-thin GPS tracker inside, the kind you could slip into a wallet. He posts it from a town over so it looks authentic. That envelope isn't just mail, it's a smart bomb waiting to go off in her hands. The waiting nearly drives him crazy. His phone buzzes with motion alerts, and each time his pulse spikes, only to see Brenda just glare and shuffle past. Then Wednesday arrives. The gardening book lands in the mailbox, neatly packed by the carrier. Within the hour, she swoops in, pretends to tie her shoe, and snatches it. The camera captures her squeezing it, then grinding it under her heel before shoving it back like garbage. The next day, the garden light gets hurled into the grass with enough force to scare a squirrel. 2 strikes on video, but he wants the grand slam. Friday brings the package of house numbers and the GPS letter. Brenda storms up like she's late for Judgment Day, rips open the box, tosses it into the street, then tears the envelope in half and dumps it into a storm drain. The GPS pings from the sewer as if cheering. On his screen, the evidence is crystal clear. Theft, destruction, obstruction, all federal crimes stacked like bricks. Checkmate. Now comes the briefing. He compiles everything into a 13-page dossier. Certified letters, sticky notes, time-stamped photos, video stills, GPS screenshots. He burns DVDs, backs up files, even includes a cover sheet citing Title 18, Section 1708. The package could make a prosecutor weep with gratitude. He calls the Postal Inspection Service, the unsung detectives of the federal world, and when he mentions 4K footage and GPS tracking, the intake agent's voice sharpens like a blade. Hours later, Inspector David Chun is on the line. They agree to meet. But fate has an even sweeter twist. The quarterly HOA meeting is set for Tuesday, and Brenda herself has placed sanctions against Lot 74 on the agenda. The timing is Shakespearean. She's preparing a public trial, not realizing she's the one about to be tried. The community clubhouse smells faintly of burnt coffee and floor polish, but tonight it feels more like a courtroom. Folding chairs scrape the tile as neighbors settle in, most expecting another tedious evening of budget reports and lawn care debates. Brenda stands at the lectern, clipboard in hand, eyes glittering with the smug anticipation of a queen ready to exile a traitor. She launches into her speech, painting him as a renegade, a man defying the sacred aesthetic harmony of the estates at Oak Creek. She waves her blurry phone photos of his mailbox like they're exhibits in a grand trial, then declares she wants thousands in retroactive fines. Her finger points toward him like a royal decree. He rises slowly, the room falling into a hush. Calmly, he says, before this board votes, perhaps the homeowners deserve the full story. Brenda snaps back, out of order, but he presses on, voice steady. He pulls a tablet from his bag. See, you've accused me of breaking a vague rule, but I'm concerned about you breaking very clear federal laws. A ripple of gasps cuts through the silence. Brenda pales, trying to laugh it off, but the moment is gone. The air is charged, the neighbors lean forward. Just then the doors swing open. 2 figures in sharp suits stride in, badges flashing. Brenda Miller? Inspector Chin's voice slices through the room. She stutters yes, and he delivers the hammer. A federal warrant for theft and destruction of U.S. mail. The word federal detonates like a firecracker. Brenda's face crumples. Her power vanishes in an instant. Neighbors whip out phones, recording every second. The same woman who fined people for wind chimes too melodic now stands frozen, eyes wide with panic. When she tries to protest, "I'm the HOA president." Inspector Davies cuts her down cold. "Your position gives you zero authority over the United States mail. What you call business, the government calls a felony." Two local officers step in, and the click of handcuffs echoes across the beige walls. Brenda is led away, tears streaking her face, while neighbors whisper like they've just witnessed a coronation turned execution. The board president squeaks out, "Meeting adjourned," but no one listens. The story has already escaped these walls. It's a legend in the making. In the aftermath, Brenda pleads guilty to a lesser charge, but the fallout is brutal. Probation, fines, restitution, and a restraining order that bans her from coming within 500 feet of his house, effectively exiling her from her own street. She resigns in disgrace, her kingdom in ruins. George, the weary ally, becomes the new HOA president, promptly dismantles Brenda's imaginary rules, refunds neighbors their fines, and restores sanity to Oak Creek. The atmosphere shifts. Suddenly people chat freely, garden gnomes pop up without fear, and the shadow of Brenda's tyranny dissolves. Within 2 months, she and her husband move out, unable to bear the shame. And there he stands, the veteran with the black mailbox still rooted firmly at the end of his driveway. To outsiders, it's just metal and bolts, but to him and his neighbors it has become a monument, proof that bullies aren't invincible. Historians still argue whether rules shape civilizations or civilizations shape rules, but one thing is certain here. Brenda forgot she wasn't the highest law in the land, and she paid the price. He reflects in the quiet evenings, the kind where the cicadas hum and the air feels softer. The battle taught him something profound, that sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't fury or fists, but patience, documentation, and a calm belief in the system bigger than any tyrant. So he tells listeners now, never let someone make you feel powerless with rules they barely understand. Do your homework, keep records, stand tall. Because when you're right, the law itself can be the sharpest sword you wield. And as the story drifts into silence, imagine the porch light glowing faintly, the mailbox standing untouched, and the night carrying only the easy rhythm of peace reclaimed. Let that vision linger, steady, calm, reassuring. Because after every storm there's a quiet where you can breathe again, a reminder that justice, though slow, has a way of showing up right on time, like the evening mail sliding safely into the box.